Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
Doing great, Eric. It's looking like spring a little bit out there. We're winding down February, except we get that extra day. So all of you February 29th babies, happy birthday.
Yeah, it's funny. My grandmother was born February 29th. And as a senior citizen, she used to make a big deal out of the fact that she was 16. Because because if you only count a birthday every 4 years,
That's that's great. It's got to be fun, and it's also got to be a little bit weird not being able to celebrate it every year.
Oh, she celebrated every year. She would celebrate on March 1st. But,
Yep,
it is a little different for those February 29th birthdays.
yep. So
So, today we are going to talk about work life balance. Uh, and I'll start off by saying how much I hate that phrase because work life balance sort of makes you think that your work and your life are two separate things that you're trying to balance each of them. And that's simply not true. The term I prefer is work life integration because work is a part of your life, it's not separate from it. And you need to include it in your planning, in how you cope with life. So, dealing with it holistically as part of your life is what I consider step one to really improving your life. Because when you stop trying to silo your work and simply accept, okay, you know what? Most people spend at least 40 hours of their week at work. So this is a pretty big chunk of your time to say, well, that's not part of my life, that's separate. It's like, no, you have to take that time back, especially now that so many people are working remotely, so many people work from home. It becomes more necessary to integrate it into the rest of your life.
yeah, absolutely. I love your word integration. Of course, you know me. I had to go online, look up the definition of what does work-life balance mean. But I actually got a really good one. It's just health. It says healthy work-life balance refers to maintaining a harmonious relationship between your work and personal life. It involves consciously managing your time and energy to meet both professional and personal commitments while prioritizing self-care and well-being. So I thought that fit pretty well, but I love the word integration because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's a great definition. And in fact, the Cleveland Clinic actually put out information about signs that your work life balance needs a reset. Or again, your work life integration needs to be, you know, rebalanced and fixed. And the first of the signs that you need to work on this is that you stop taking care of your body. You're staying up too late, you're having trouble sleeping, you're sitting around all day and not exercising. You get most of your food from a vending machine or a drive through window, or worse, you're just not eating. This is a major sign that you need to be taking this seriously. The second sign is that your mental health is going downhill. You've started noticing signs of anxiety or depression. You're feeling angry or irritable for no apparent reason. You may even experience feelings of dread or restlessness and hopelessness. And if it gets really bad, it could even result in panic attacks and thoughts of suicide. Another sign is that you just don't care anymore. Your work doesn't seem meaningful. You don't feel connected to friends and family, to colleagues or clients. You're going through the motions and not really feeling anything. And finally, one of the big signs that you need to focus on this. And this is something that so many people have nowadays, and they don't even realize it, is that there are no clear boundaries between work and home. You need to put boundaries in place. Even if you're working at home, there needs to be a sense that, yes, when I'm in this place, if I'm sitting at this desk, I am at work. When I'm not sitting at this desk, or when it's 5 o'clock, or however you decide to set those boundaries up, you are off work. So you're not necessarily taking calls, you're not responding to emails. And you do need to set boundaries. You know, it's very rare that I take a client call after 7 o'clock at night. If somebody is calling me at that point, I send it to voicemail. I will listen to the voicemail. And if it's truly a crisis, then I will call them back. Otherwise, I will call them back at 9 a.m. the next morning. And I have told my clients this. And they understand, most people say, well, I can't, I'll lose the client. I have to be available 24/7. No, your clients want good work life integration as well. So the vast majority of them are going to understand that you are setting those boundaries to be able to spend time with family and friends, to not be working 24/7.
Yeah, and especially obviously there's so many people working from home and so on, and it's human nature. I mean, whether it's work or whether it's a Facebook post or something else, I mean, we're absolutely dominated by social media out there and all the different ways people can get a hold of us. So the boundaries things that you talked about, I mean, the next thing that I looked up, obviously, the characteristics of a healthy work-life balance may include, and boundaries was number one, and that's establishing the clear boundaries between the work and the personal life by defining what they are, defining your working hours, just as you said, and separating your work from your personal activities. Um, Going hand in hand with that is time management, which is just efficiently organizing what you're going to be doing, um, allocating the amount of time for work and for personal things. I know you talk a lot about working and then taking a little bit of a break and so on and so forth, but getting into that discipline at home too. But yeah, you have to organize your professional and your personal pursuits, and that includes spending time with family and things like that. So time management is very, very important. Stress management, which you talked about also. One of the things that we talk about all the time is just practicing mindfulness, just taking some time for yourself, engaging in regular physical activity, take a walk during the day, or work on your exercise machine, whatever you got to do. Get unplugged. Getting unplugged is one of the best things you can possibly do. Maybe replace it with some calming music in the background while you're working. And then flexibility. Obviously, you are going to have those calls and things where you have to adjust and so on and so forth. But if you have that schedule set up in the first place where you can have the ability to do that, it's really important. So setting boundaries, time management, stress management, and flexibility are characteristics of a healthy work life balance.
Yes, those are all such important elements. And you're talking about time and stress management. One of the great ways to take control of your time, of your stress levels, is actually to use some of the tools that we all take for granted at work and apply them to the rest of your life. A calendar, a to do list, schedule time with family and friends, schedule date night with your spouse, put these things down. Schedule time to spend time with your kids. The same way you put down, you have a meeting from X time to this time on this date. Do the same thing about taking your kids to Little League or going to see a movie with them. Date night for with your spouse. And to-do lists also. How many times have you said to yourself, "Oh, I really need to clean out that closet." Oh, I really need to fix that lamp, and then of course, you walk away and you don't think about it anymore. Put the to-do list together for the things that you need to do at home. And like projects at work, break them down into small bits and do them little by little. I have one friend that every weekend complains that she's got to spend most of Saturday cleaning the kitchen. Well, you wouldn't have to clean the kitchen so intensely every Saturday if you just took 20 minutes at the end of your day and did it then. Instead of taking 4 hours out of your weekend, do a little bit each day
Yeah,
and
really.
treat it like a project, and broken down into smaller, easier to handle bits.
Yeah, I mean, if you set some of these things up as time management habits, like when you're
Yep.
done eating, you do the dishes right away, so that's never a problem. I mean, I can't stand looking at a kitchen that's kind of cluttered anyway, but I do that all the time. And if you do that, obviously, if you walk into a clean room or a clean kitchen or a clean basement or whatever, you're going to feel happier about that. It's going to release your stress as far as that goes. So we talked about time management, but if you can habit some of these things that you know are your Achilles heels right now and put that down on your to-do list with a time to do that, that's so important. So, I mean, if you recreate yourself, and we've talked about that as far as recreating yourself with habits too. And I know we've talked from time to time. I mean, you have your wonderful Biznetics daily planner, and most people look at calendars as just putting in work appointments and this and that and whatever. And you talked about date night, family time, and so on and so forth. And basically, what a daily planner is just putting the day of the week down there with the times there, and you just plug everything in.
Yep.
And if you have yours lasts for a whole year, and you also have ways where you can track things, what you're doing, so you can exactly see where your time is going, which will help you to reorganize yourself automatically. It's just so important. And one of the things that you can do is actually do an analysis of what you've done just by looking at that and see how much time you're spending doing this, and this, and then put them into the quadrants. Are they urgent and important? Are they basically something that you're doing every single day that you don't need to do and that kind of thing? But obviously, if you have this written down and you have it timed out, which we talk about SMART goals, basically you have to put a time on it. It's so, so important. I mean, these tools are there and we can use them for different topics that we've talked about. But if you can organize yourself with something like that, it's so, so important. And I mean, you can explain a little bit more what yours is all about, because you have some really, really nice tools in that. And I know you're talking about making it more. We were talking beforehand, maybe making an app at some point in time and so on and so forth. That's on your to-do list ways off a little bit, but what you're tracking there and what you're planning there, including vacations, date nights, and so on and so forth, it's so important. And when you're looking at that and you see that you have these things planned and it's not just work, that is going to help you with your work-life balance because it's right in front of you.
Absolutely. When we put together our planner, we did it for our clients, and it's still available at Amazon and through themodernobserver.com. But what we did was we took a 24-hour calendar. So you have the space to schedule your work, schedule your free time, and other things. We have a to do list in there, and we have tracking tools. And this is so important because we tend to waste so much time without realizing it. So, on each page of the planner, you're supposed to put a goal for that day that's going to get you closer to your overall goals. Now, these goals do not have to be business goals, they can be personal goals. Saving money for a vacation, tracking time to a vacation, um, doing a landscaping project around the house, cleaning the garage. These are all projects that you can put on your to do list. And what we did was we have at after each calendar item, you have a circle and a lightning bolt. And the circle, if what you're doing is directly related to one of your goals, you fill that in. If it's something that's necessary but not really goal related, um, work wise, that could be doing paperwork for one of your accounts. For personal, that can be doing the, you have to do the dishes. It's not really a goal, but it has to be done. So you fill in half of the circle. And then if you're just watching television, you're scrolling through social media, those you leave blank. And you'll see how much time you actually have during the day. And it'll surprise you. So you can utilize that time more effectively. Instead of just sitting down in front of the television and just mindlessly watching something after dinner, set up a time, do something with your family, read a book. That's something, I always try to read between 70 and 100 books a year. And that requires me to put time aside for it. And that's a personal. It doesn't have to be business or self-improvement books. It can be novels, it can be biographies, whatever it is you enjoy. But put that time aside to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, your habits are what you're talking about. I mean, me, I like to read every single morning out of the development books. I have 4 or 5 different books that have daily thoughts or daily reflections in there. And I've been reading several of them every day for many, many years. And it's a really good grounding way to start the day. But basically, by using the planner that you have and everything in front of you, what that is going to allow you to do, if you have that, don't just fill it in, but it allows you to go do a personal assessment on yourself. And you will be crystal clear where you're wasting time and so on and so forth, and what you need to work in. I mean, obviously, if you plug in a half an hour a day to take a walk or to do this or to do that, it's so important to do that. Plug in a positive morning routine and a positive evening routine every single day so that you wake up and you're starting the day with something positive and you're not going to bed worrying about what you just saw on the news. I mean, there's different things that you can do. And by having that in front of you, just take a look at it and things will jump out at you as far as where you can improve right away. And all you got to do is just write it down, change the schedule the next day. It's easier said than done. But once you start doing that, you're going to feel fantastic. But you have all these tools here where you can put it right in front of you where you are right now. And if you can do a personal assessment, put together a plan, and start it right now, that's step number one to maintaining that positive relationship between life and work.
Exactly. It's so important to make that schedule and really commit to doing it. And part of the key to committing to make these changes and to having a better work life integration is, again, the same thing we've talked about with project management, is breaking things down to a simple, you know habit that you will continue to do. And a great example is exercise. It is so important for all of us to get exercise. And what keeps most people from doing it is the idea that they have to go to a gym and spend 2 hours a day and they have to do this, 3 or 4 times a week. It's like, no, you know what? Start off. You don't have to go to a gym. Take 5 minutes and do some jumping jacks. There's no equipment needed. All you need is enough space to jump. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. Run in place for a minute and spend your 5 minutes twice a week just to get the blood going. Start each morning, just stretch a little bit. Doesn't have to doesn't have to be anything major. Reach down and try to touch your toes. And for most people, and it's kind of sorry, but most adults are actually not flexible enough to touch their toes on the first try. It doesn't matter if you can actually reach them. Bend over, stretch, and reach as far as you can. And then the next day, do it again. And you'll find after a few days, you're actually stretching a little further. And if you do this for 100 days, you should be able to touch the floor or touch your toes. So it's just a minute or two each day. Instead of hitting snooze, actually get up and stretch. And you'll actually find the stretching, and don't rush it, especially first thing in the morning. Get up slowly and stretch and take a deep breath and just sort of let yourself wake up over the 9 minutes that most snooze alarms take. You can take that 9 minutes and let yourself wake up slowly. And something else that is very important for a morning routine is your alarm. If you are setting an alarm, the biggest mistake most people make is they have an alarm sound on their phone, on their radio, whatever it is, and it's jarring. And they jump out of bed. It's like the alarm frightens them awake. No, find a sound that's soothing, that will wake you up without jarring you. And I highly recommend they have these alarm clocks that, especially if you have to be up early enough and the sun's not up yet, that over the course of when you set the alarm to the time that you're actually supposed to wake up, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. So it brings light into the bedroom, and that helps you wake up much more gently. There's no reason to jar yourself awake. Do it slowly, take your time, and relax yourself into the day to get started.
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's a book which we've talked about a few times called The Miracle Morning. And this is about starting a routine. I used to go to a gym. I started out in 2013, and I went from not doing anything to that. And it was wonderful. But after a while, I started going less and less and less. And when I picked up the Miracle Morning after not really doing a whole lot of stuff, periodic this and that for a couple of years, I got into that. And basically, it talks about a morning routine. The first thing that I do every single morning is I go downstairs and I have a glass of water to get hydrated. And then my morning routine, which is just 10 minutes in the morning of exercise, is I do a few push-ups, and then I have these 10-pound weights, and I put them in my hands and I just squat with those a little bit. I'll curl them up a little bit, and then I'll do lunges with them in my hands. It takes me 10 minutes to do those and some push-ups, and that gets the cardio going and gets me hydrated every single morning. And I very, very much look forward to that. No matter how much I don't want to do it, as soon as I step out of bed, that's the first thing that I do every morning, and it really gets me off to a great start. And it's not strenuous or whatever, but people have told me over the last couple of years how good that I look that haven't seen me for a long time. And it's just a function of doing that. And obviously, I like to mix in a walk every day too, but that's all part of it. If you could just discipline yourself, and if you start the day doing something like that and you do that for a few days, you're going to feel terrific physically and you're going to feel really good mentally because you've accomplished that and you are now into a routine that you can keep going. And then before bed, just wind down with some type of positive thing before you go to bed. Don't care what it is. Maybe it's a gratitude journal or whatever. But if you can start and end the day with positive routines, that's going to help you out a whole lot as far as everything else falling into place.
It certainly will. And you mentioned something that's actually very important. The vast majority of people do not drink enough water. And that is something that will have a dramatic effect on your health and keep your energy up. So that, because a lot of people, when you talk about work life integration, one of the first things they say is, oh, by the time I get home from work, I don't have the strength to do anything. I just need to collapse. I need to rest. Well, part of that is actually being dehydrated because you're not drinking enough water. And another part of that is you need to get more exercise. So if you just put in a few minutes a day of exercise, get yourself a water bottle and fill it up in the morning, keep it with you and drink, they say you're supposed to drink about 64 ounces of water every day. I'm not going to hold you to 64. Drink what you can, but it's important to keep hydrated. And that's something else that will give you more energy to be able to have work life integration. And then another really important factor is scheduling time to enjoy, whether it's by yourself, going on a hike, with friends, going out to dinner, doing, and, again, if you are going to a gym, do it with friends. Set aside time to spend with people that you care about. Connect with people. We have talked about this previously, that there is an epidemic of loneliness, and that does not go away on your own. It goes away by connecting with people, by talking with people. And that is so important for your work life integration, to have time to hang out with friends. Even if you're not doing anything, be comfortable doing nothing. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but there is a Dutch tradition called, I believe it's called Nixen. And this is actually considered the key to why the Netherlands is actually considered one of the happiest countries. And it's because they take time to do nothing, and they're comfortable doing nothing. They don't have, so many people here in America say, well, how are you doing? Oh, busy, very busy. Like it's a badge of honor. It's like you have to be comfortable with taking time to do nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important to do that. I mean, you mentioned as far as friends and so on and so forth, get an accountability partner. Go through this together. And if you are going to start an exercise routine or start walking and so on and so forth, understand instead of getting stressed out about it, think of the Nike swoosh. Just go out there and do it. And as soon as you get going, you might feel a little bit stressed, but once you get into it, you feel unbelievable. Once you start walking for a little bit or getting into whatever you're doing as far as the exercise goes. All you got to do is get started. And if you're going to
Yes.
start ahead of time, nothing's ever going to happen unless you do it. And I'm not talking about trying, because trying is not doing anything, but just do it. Just get up and do it. I
Yeah,
mean, they're right
just
in front of me, and my slippers are right next to the chair where I put the weights down when I'm done. That's the way that it works. So
yeah, just start doing it. And actually you'll find once you do a little bit, you'll be more motivated to do more. I can't tell you how many times, I do Tai Chi exercises, I do strength training, I do stretching, and there are not, and I do my exercises at night. And there are a lot of nights where I will go, all right, you know what? I really don't feel like exercising tonight. I'm just going to do some quick stretches. And I'll do the stretches and go, okay, you know what? That felt pretty good. Let me get in a couple of the Tai Chi exercises. And then I will do that and they'll go, okay, you know what? I'm feeling better. Let me grab the dumbbells. Let me do some of the strength. And I will, before you know it, I've gotten in a full workout because I didn't say, oh, I have to do all these things. It's like, I'm just going to do a little bit and then, do a little more. And you'd be amazed at how much easier that makes it. All right. So we are, according to the clock on the wall, we are just about out of time. So, Chip, what do you think the big takeaway for our listeners is this week?
no, we were using some examples at the end of this. We were just getting started with that. And what getting started does as it develops the momentum that you're talking about, where, okay, I just want to do a little bit of stuff and you go through your whole routine before you go to bed. And that's really how it happens. If you can get started, it's so, so important. One thing that we didn't mention as far as the work side of things go is that if you are unhappy with your job, part of your routine should be to look for something else and day by day do something towards that. So it's really, really important to do that. But the bottom line is there's so many tools out there. Assess where you're at right now and start planning on paper or whatever you want to use to plan, and get that routine going on a day-to-day basis and make sure that you're doing it. The key is just getting started. And that's the toughest thing to do. But you know what? Once you start that, you're going to look forward to getting started every day once you're into the routine, because you're going to find that your head is so much better and you're going to feel so much more accomplished with yourself, that person in the mirror, which is so important, that things are going to fall into place very nicely for you. But you got to get started somewhere. So just do it.
Yes, whether it's a work project, a home project, a part of your daily life, taking action is the key. And again, it doesn't have to be a grand action. Little steps every day make the difference. And something that you were just alluding to that is so important is that if there is a part of your life that you are not happy with, you have the power to change it. If you're not happy with your job, find a new one. If you are feeling alone, go out to a coffee shop, go out to a bar. It doesn't matter if you're going by yourself. Sit at the bar, sit somewhere where there's other people and strike up conversations with them. You have the power to do this. There's nothing stopping you except you. And that is actually the takeaway from all of this, is that if you want better work-life integration, go out and make it happen. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.